Good afternoon and welcome to Optimum Derby Live. My name is Martin Crowson. If you are used to going to the gym and doing 3 sets of 10, have you ever questioned why you do that? What's the purpose behind it? How long have we been doing those sorts of reps? Well, today all your answers are coming out and there'll be plenty more reasons why we either stick with 3 sets of 10 or move on to something else, depending on what your intended outcome is. And the man to tell us all about that, as usual, I'm joined by the MD of Optimum Derby, Tom Healy. Good afternoon, Tom. How are you?
Good afternoon, Martin. Looking very smart.
Yeah, and engagement after this is why I'm looking so smart at the moment, Tom. Thank you very much. Let's crack on, mate, with the question at hand today. But just before I do, if you're not subscribed to us and you're watching us on YouTube today, please do so. There are loads more tips and hints and advice from Tom about all sorts of fitness tips and injuries and how to recover from injuries and how to make sure you don't get so many injuries on the YouTube channel, so please have a look. If you joined us on LinkedIn today, you're very welcome. Tom, where did 3 sets of 10 come from?
Well, actually, you told me just before 1940 something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I read it from 1940. We've been doing 3 sets of 10.
If I'm honest, I don't know where it really came from, and it's just something that seems to have stuck. It seems to be something that stuck through physio profession, sports therapy, rehab. It just seems to be this. Just do 3 sets of 10. Okay. I'm doing these exercises. How many? Just do 3 sets of 10. I don't really know where it's come from, and I don't know why it still sticks.
Just been passed down like a good recipe at home.
Yeah, it's like a good Victoria sponge that your grandma used to make. I don't know why it's still hanging around, if I'm honest. But yeah, it is still used, and it's got no relevance, if any at all, to any population, whether that's a sporty population, a rehab population, or somebody wanting to build size and muscle. Like, it's kind of got no relevance to anything. So I don't know where it came from or why it's still banging around, to be honest.
I guess the basic premise is that the fact that the last 2 or 3 of those reps should be getting harder, and the minute we're doing those 3 sets of 10 nice and easily, we go up a weight and start the same process again to build muscle, and that's solely the reason behind it.
Yeah, and even sort of like when we come to talk about different reps and sets for different purposes in a minute, the last few reps are always going to be difficult, but there's different ways of progressing at different times, whether that's through a rehabilitation phase, whether that's through a periodization plan in terms of your training season, or whether you're just looking to keep fit. Like, there should be moderation to what you're doing if you want to make progress.
Okay. What about those of us that don't want to necessarily stack on muscle, but we just want to go and keep fit and keep ourselves in trim? Would the 3 sets of 10 still work for that?
I think if your goal is to just keep fit, let's say, like we just talked about Mo Farah very briefly just before we came on. He's obviously a super fit bloke, runs really long distances. He's not got an ounce of fat on him, so he won't be the sort of guy that's lifting very heavy weights for very few reps because he doesn't need to. That's not his sport. However, if you look at someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's lifting very heavy weights, very short reps, because he wanted to build size to look big, to perform in his event. So I think it completely comes down to what you want to achieve. And by knowing what you want to achieve, you can select what you want to do and how you want to do it.
Okay, I think that just segues us very nicely into the next bit in terms of, if it's not 3 sets of 10, what should people be doing and what should they be doing for certain outcomes? What is useful than that? So,
definitely. I mean, if we go through a rehab process, if you go from sort of an early stage rehabilitation process, you're going to be looking quite. If you think, let's say, you've torn your calf, okay, so you've got a small tear in your calf, you're unable to put loads and loads of force through it, so even body weight stuff is difficult, then you're going to be doing probably something very simple like TheraBand based work or isometric sort of exercises where there's no movement at all, and you're going to be doing lots of it because you need to repair those muscles to be able to endure endurance. You need them to be able to endure long periods of time, so you're going to be doing 25 repetitions maybe, 3 sets with very little rest in between. So you fatigue the muscle over an endurance period. So that's maybe what you would do in an early stage rehabilitation. then you would progress onto a little bit more hypertrophy. So you'll build a little bit more size within the muscle. And you may drop your reps and sets to something like 4 sets of maybe 8 to 12, and something between 30 and 90 seconds rest periods. And that will build sort of a bit more size within the muscle. So you can see you've dropped the reps, and as you drop the reps, you've got to increase the intensity. So the resistance has got to go up. Otherwise, you're almost going to detrain yourself. If you go from 3 sets of 25 to 4 sets of 12, but you don't add any resistance, you're almost going backwards. So the whole point of this is that the resistance starts to creep up. You give yourself longer breaks and you challenge the muscles more for that period of time that you're actually working. And then that progresses. So you go muscular endurance, you go into a hypertrophy sort of stage, and then you're working to strength and power. So strength can be anything sort of 4 to 5 sets, and you drop the weights maybe down to 4 or 6 repetitions, and then the weight will start to increase again. And then for power, you can go on to a little bit more specific. So you can do maybe 5 or even 6 sets, and you drop it down to maybe 3 to 5 reps. And again, it's very ballistic, very explosive power. So you're going to have long rest periods, and you're going to be doing maybe some plyometric type drills, and the intensity is going to be quite high. So the resistance is going to be quite high.
Diagram. Interrupt you at that point, Tom. We bring this up to further explain what you're talking about.
Yeah, perfect. And it's quite a rudimentary diagram, and it's quite simple to follow for people of all sort of populations and whatever you're looking to achieve. If you're a power athlete, you're going to want to do a little bit more at the top end of the screen. If you're sort of more of an endurance, long distance sort of runner type athlete, you're going to be lower down the list. But there's always times where you're going to flick between the two. So let's say somebody like a basketball player who's up the top doing more of a power-based sport. There's going to be certain times throughout the season, or certain muscles or certain joints in a way that they're going to fatigue. So they're going to want to do muscular endurance. So for their calves, for example, they're probably going to do both. They're probably going to do a little bit of endurance work and a little bit of power work, because that's what they need for their sport. So it's not strict that that's what you must do. And certainly throughout the season, these will go up in waves, up and down, and you'll focus on different things at different points, and even in a weekly basis. So in our mogul skiing group, our athletes, we will lift heavy the day after competition. So we will lift very heavy then on the premise that we can't do it too close to the competition the following weekend, because we don't want to elicit DOMs or too much soreness or too much fatigue. And we generally have a couple of days of traveling from the day after the competition. And therefore, if you've got DOMs or soreness or achiness, then it kind of doesn't matter, because you're not going to be competing on the snow, or you're certainly not going to be doing any snow-based training.
Yeah.
So in fact, in the last trip I went on before Christmas, one thing it took me by surprise was the competition finished maybe 12:30 in the afternoon, and we were out the competition maybe at 11 o'clock. So we came back down the mountain, got some lunch, and went into the gym, and the competition was still going on.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we got into the gym at maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the guy who just won the competition was also in the gym. So he just won the competition and won gold, and he was in the gym lifting heavy on the same day. And I was like, that's some dedication, you know, that's some commitment and dedication. It's brilliant. And he's won 86 gold medals. He's got some ridiculous record of something like 56 or 60% win percentage for the events that he's entered.
Yeah.
So he's the best of the best, and that's how he trains, and that's the best way to train. And that's how we would tend to do it. And then we'll do plyometrics closer to the event. So something that's not going to elicit too much DOMs or too much soreness or stiffness, but has a performance benefit closer to the event. So we'll do that closer to the Thursday, Friday of competition.
What do you mean by DOMs, Tom?
So DOMs is like delayed onset muscle soreness. So you may train heavy today on a Wednesday, and you might feel a bit sore tomorrow, but 48 hours later, you're probably going to feel probably even more sore, especially if it's a muscle group that you don't train regularly or haven't trained in a long time.
Yeah. Okay. So it's very, very much horses for courses in terms of the way you tackle these things.
Yeah.
Depending on the outcome you're after, that's the crucial part, isn't it?
Absolutely. And for me in the clinic, it depends on what rehabilitation stage somebody is at. If I've got a client who's come in who's they can do the majority of things in the gym, they can do a lot of things, but they can't sprint. Well, we probably need to be doing some power-based exercises, you know. Whereas somebody who might come in, they've only just got injured last week, and they might be down the bottom of the list doing endurance-based drills, because that's just the stage that they're at and the way we need to work through. But it's really important that those things progress the athlete or the individual back to their sport, and 3 sets of 10 just isn't applicable to do that. It doesn't give the right challenge damage to the muscle to help it repair and grow and get stronger.
Okay. It's very important at this stage to mention that we can only advise on these things that we're talking through now, and it's only rough guidance. So for somebody that wants to really get stuck into this, Tom, where's the best place for them to go to get some proper advice? I'm a member of David Lloyd, ActiveFit, whatever. What's the best thing to do? To specifically talk to somebody about, this is what I want to achieve, how do I go about it?
Personal trainer, a good S&C coach, good strength and conditioning coach will know better about this. Certainly sports therapist or sports rehabilitator will know about this as well. So anybody sort of within the fitness industry should know these sorts of things, but even then it still gets used as a for me, it's a bit of a lazy thing. You know, it's a bit of a lazy, just do 3 sets of 10. Like it's a bit lazy from the profession or the therapist or whoever it is. But yeah, it certainly should be something that anybody with a sort of a fitness or medical profession should know about.
Yeah, you touched on your work with the mogul skiers then, Tom. What about the other sports that you deal with, rugby, football, cricket, dealing with top end athletes there? Is there ever an occasion for them to do 3 sets of 10, or is everything, especially at a high level of sport, a lot more specific alongside the things you've just been mentioning?
Yeah, very specific. So things kind of get on a weekly basis. Programs so throughout the season, you've got obviously the off season. Off season's generally speaking really hard. It's the area where you can put a lot of work in. You can get a lot of stimulus going on for physical adaptations, and then it's a matter of trying to maintain that through the season. There's no real chance of doing anything too heavy or too progressive through the season. You're not really going to make huge changes during the season. It's just a matter of trying to maintain what you built through the off season and the pre-season. So certainly football, rugby, cricket, the team sports, each individual player or each sort of position will have their own things to work on throughout the season, and depending on how the games fall and the calendar is and the fixtures are, will depend on where they sort of fit certain parts of their training in. And that may involve, like a power day, or it might involve a strength day. It just kind of depends on the week and how that looks, whether you've got Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, or you've got a Saturday game. Obviously taking into account the sort of stress of a game scenario and the achiness or DOMs that a gym session may put on them as well. So it's all planned in and programmed.
And I guess that more specific approach to what should be done is just reflective now of just how detailed top end sport is, and everything down to what nutrition, what meals you're eating, and exactly how many reps you're doing at whatever stage of the week. It's all very, very scientifically planned. Yeah,
completely. Yeah. So the sports science department, probably in the last, 20, probably 30 years, was probably grown from just 1 physio to, 4 physios, 3 strength and conditioning coaches, 2 masseurs, a doctor. Like the list is endless, especially at sort of championship, football, premiership rugby, anything around there. You've got big sort of 10, 12, 15 man squads looking after the athletes or directing in what way the coaches should deliver sessions or the gym sessions should be based. And a lot of that comes down to as well sort of the analysis pre and post game. So there may be a very brief screening session the Monday after a weekend's game, and let's just quickly test a few little things here, and not quite performing very well at these, so we need to do this and we need to tweak that. And the gym show, it's all there in pencil and it can all be tweaked. It's not just like in a permanent marker and this is what you've got to do. If you ended up running, 1,500 meters more or 2,000 meters more on a weekend because the game was a bit more challenging, then obviously things get tweaked and things get modified in terms of your training through the week. So yeah, it's not scripted and it's perfect. It can be changed and altered.
Interesting. In very brief summary, 3 sets of 10. It's old hat. Ask for more. Find out more. Ask for more. Know what you want to achieve.
Absolutely, so true. Yeah, and yeah, bin it off.
Good plot to finish. Thanks as ever, Tom. Great advice. Bin it off.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us this afternoon. As I said, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. You'll find out when we're on again next. We're on again next week on Wednesday, I believe, at 4 o'clock. There's plenty more information on the YouTube channel at the moment for you to find out. Plenty more hints and tips on how to avoid getting injured and how to recover from injuries, and all sorts of tips from Tom at Optimum Derby. If you'd like to find out more about Optimum, the website address is on the screen now. And if you'd like to email Tom directly, either for more advice or to book in and see him for any injury issues you may have yourself, there's Tom's email address. That just leaves me, Martin Crowson, to say thank you very much for joining us, whatever platform you've been watching us on this afternoon. We'll see you back here on Optimum Derby next week. Until then, have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.